Just sign it. Her voice didn't just echo across the polished mahogany table, it cut through me. Sharp, cold, final. I stared at the papers in front of me, the black ink already waiting to erase 10 years of my life. My name was printed neatly at the bottom, like it had already accepted the ending I wasn't ready to face. Across from me, Emily sat perfectly still. Too still. Her arms were crossed, her chin slightly raised, eyes locked on me, not with sadness, not even anger. But impatience. Like I was nothing more than a delay in her schedule. Beside her, her attorney adjusted his glasses and cleared his throat softly. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. The entire room already belonged to her. It always had. I picked up the pen. And for a moment, my hand wouldn't move. Not because I didn't understand what I was signing, but because I finally did. This wasn't just a divorce. This was a setup. 10 years earlier, she walked into my life like something out of a movie. It was a rooftop party in downtown Chicago. Summer heat, city lights glowing, music humming low in the background. And then there was her. Emily Carter. Red dress, confident smile, the kind of presence that didn't ask for attention, it commanded it. I remember thinking two things the moment I saw her. She was completely out of my league. And somehow, she was looking right at me. "You're not having fun," she said, stepping beside me at the railing. I laughed awkwardly. I don't really do crowds. "Well," she smirked, "you're in the wrong place." There was something about her, something magnetic. Within minutes, we were talking like we'd known each other for years. She was sharp, ambitious, funny in a way that kept you slightly off balance. And she chose me. That was the part I never questioned. That was the first mistake. Back in the present. "Daniel." Her voice snapped me out of it. I looked up. Her expression hadn't changed. "Stop dragging this out," she said. "We both know this is over." "We." That word. Funny how she still used it, even now. I swallowed slowly. "Yeah," I said quietly, "we do." But what she meant, and what I meant, weren't the same thing. I lowered my eyes back to the papers. Property division. Asset transfer. Spousal waiver. Clause after clause, all perfectly structured. Too perfectly structured. I had read them. 3 times. And each time, the same thought echoed louder in my mind. This wasn't just a divorce. This was her taking everything. It didn't happen overnight. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't crash into your life like a storm. It seeps in quietly, like a slow leak you don't notice until everything is already flooded. At first, it was small things. Late nights at work. Canceled plans. Her phone always face down. Then came the distance. The way she stopped laughing at my jokes. The way she stopped touching me. The way she started looking at me. Like I was already gone. "Big client," she'd say. "Important meeting." Just tired. Excuses, endless excuses. And I believed them. Because loving someone makes you blind in the most dangerous way, you don't just ignore the truth. You defend the lie. The night everything changed. I wasn't supposed to be home. She knew that. I had a business trip scheduled, a last-minute conference in Denver. But it got canceled. And I decided not to tell her. I thought I'd surprise her. God's the irony. The house was dark when I walked in. Quiet. Too quiet. But then I heard it. A voice. Not hers. A man's. Low, comfortable. Familiar. My chest tightened as I moved slowly down the hallway. Each step felt heavier than the last. And then I saw it. The bedroom door. Slightly open. Light spilling out. And laughter. Her laughter. Soft, intimate, real. More real than anything I'd heard from her in months. I don't remember walking the rest of the way. I don't remember pushing the door open. I only remember the moment everything inside me shattered. She was there. In our bed. With him. And not just anyone. Ryan. My business partner. My friend. the man I trusted with everything. Their faces turned toward me at the same time. Shock, guilt, and then something else. Something I'll never forget. Annoyance. Like I was the one who had interrupted them. Daniel, she started. But I didn't hear the rest. Because in that moment, I stopped feeling. Back in the lawyer's office, my fingers tightened around the pen. You've already reviewed the agreement, her attorney finally said, his tone calm, measured. Everything is standard. Standard? I almost laughed. Standard for who? For someone who spent years building something, only to have it signed away in a single moment. I looked at Emily again. She didn't flinch, didn't soften, didn't even pretend. And that's when it hit me. She wasn't nervous. She wasn't uncertain. She wasn't even emotional. Because she had already moved on. No. That wasn't right. She had planned this. Every detail. Every clause. Every outcome. And I had walked straight into it. After that night, things escalated fast. She didn't deny it. Didn't apologize. Didn't beg. She simply said, "I'm not happy, Daniel." That was it. 10 years reduced to one sentence. I remember standing there, still trying to process what I had seen. "What about us?" I asked. She shrugged. Actually shrugged. "I think we both know this hasn't been working." No, Emily. It was working. Until you decided it was. Until you found something or someone better. And Ryan. He couldn't even look at me. That hurt more than I expected. Because betrayal from an enemy is expected. But from a friend, that leaves a different kind of scar. Daniel, her voice cut in again, sharper this time. Sign it. There it was. No more pretending. No more patience. Just demand. I took a slow breath. And then I smiled. Not because I was happy, but because, for the first time in months, I was clear. Completely clear. I looked at the paper one last time. At my name. At everything I was about to lose. And then I looked at her. Really looked. At the woman I thought I knew. The woman I built my life around. The woman who was now sitting across from me, waiting to take it all. And suddenly, she didn't look powerful. She didn't look intimidating. She didn't even look important. She looked small. Because for the first time, I saw her without the illusion. I placed the pen against the paper. And signed. No hesitation. No shaking. Just one smooth motion. Daniel Hayes. Done. The room fell silent. Her attorney nodded, satisfied. Emily leaned back slightly, a faint smirk touching her lips. Victory. That's what she thought this was. I set the pen down gently. Then I stood up. No dramatic speech. No yelling. No scene. Just silence. And as I turned to leave, she spoke. Good, she said. That was easier than I expected. I paused at the door. Just for a second. And then I said something I hadn't planned. Yeah, I replied calmly, for you. And then I walked out. The sunlight hit my face as I stepped outside. Bright. Blinding. Real. For a moment, I just stood there. Breathing. Letting it all settle. The anger. The betrayal. The loss. But beneath all of it, there was something else. Something unexpected. Something quiet. Freedom. And that's when I realized something she didn't. Something she couldn't see. She thought she had taken everything from me. But she hadn't. Not even close. Because what she didn't know, what she never even suspected, was that the real story, the real ending, hadn't even started yet. The moment the glass doors closed behind me, I didn't look back. Not at the building. Not at the office. And definitely not at her. Because if I had, just for 1 second, I might have seen something that would have made this harder. regret, doubt, anything human. But I already knew the truth. Emily Carter didn't regret anything. And that was exactly why I was going to win. I walked down the steps slowly, the city noise rushing back into my ears like reality reintroducing itself. Cars honking, people talking, life moving forward. Funny how the world doesn't stop, even when yours completely falls apart. I reached my car, opened the door, and just sat there. Hands on the wheel. Engine off. Mind racing. 10 years. 10 years of loyalty. 10 years of building something real. And in the end, reduced to ink on paper. Signed away in under 60 seconds. I let out a slow breath, and then I laughed. Not loudly. Not wildly. Just enough to feel it in my chest. Because the irony was almost perfect. She thought I walked in blind. She thought I was the same man who stood frozen in that bedroom doorway months ago. Broken. Confused. Powerless. But that man, he didn't exist anymore. 3 months earlier. That's when everything shifted. That's when I stopped reacting and started watching. Carefully. Quietly. Strategically. Because once the shock wore off, something else took its place. Clarity. Cold, precise clarity. I didn't confront her again after that night. Didn't yell. Didn't fight. Didn't beg. Instead, I did something far more dangerous. I agreed. You're right, I told her calmly the next morning. This isn't working. I still remember the way her eyes flickered for just a second. Surprise. Not because I agreed, but because I didn't resist. She expected a fight. Emotion. Chaos. And when she didn't get it, she got comfortable. Too comfortable. And that was exactly what I needed. Back then, Emily wasn't just my wife. She was my partner. In every sense. We built our company together from nothing. Late nights. Endless meetings. Risk after risk. We weren't just married. We were a team. And Ryan. He came later. Recommended by a mutual contact. Smart. Charismatic. Driven. Everything you'd want in a business partner. And everything you'd never expect to stab you in the back. Looking back now, the signs were there. The subtle shifts. The private conversations. The way Emily started backing his ideas over mine. At the time, I called it growth. Progress. Evolution. But it was alignment. Just not with me. After I accepted the divorce, things moved fast. Emily took control of the process. Lawyers. Documents. Terms. All perfectly streamlined. Almost like she had been preparing for this long before I ever found out. And Ryan. He stayed quiet. Stayed distant. Avoided me completely. Which told me everything I needed to know. Because guilt doesn't hide itself that well unless there's more beneath it. And there was. I just needed to prove it. So I started digging. Not emotionally. Not impulsively. Methodically. Financial records first. Then internal communications. Then contracts. At first, everything looked clean. Too clean. And that's when I knew I was getting close. Because real life isn't perfect. Especially not in business. Especially not when two people think they're smarter than everyone else. Mistakes happen. Patterns slip. And secrets. They always leave traces. The first crack appeared in a set of transferred funds. Small. Insignificant on the surface. But repeated. Consistent. And hidden inside layered accounts. Not illegal at first glance. Just questionable. But when I followed the trail further, that's when things got interesting. Very interesting. Back in the present, I finally started the engine. The low hum grounded me. Focused me. I pulled out of the parking lot, merging into traffic like nothing had changed. But everything had. Because while Emily was celebrating her clean victory upstairs, she had no idea. She had just signed something too. She just didn't realize it yet. 2 months earlier, I hired someone. Quietly. Off the record. Not a lawyer. Not an investigator. Someone better. Someone who didn't ask questions, only delivered answers. Within 3 weeks, I had everything. Emails, private accounts, hidden agreements, and the one thing I was hoping to find, but didn't expect to get so easily. Intent. Clear. Deliberate. Calculated intent. They hadn't just betrayed me personally. They had been planning something much bigger. Something that would have destroyed me completely. Financially. Legally. Permanently. The plan was simple. Push me out of the company. Transfer control. Shift assets. And leave me with nothing but legal responsibility for what came next. A fall guy. That's what I was supposed to be. The clueless husband. The trusting partner. The perfect scapegoat. And for a while, I played that role perfectly. I stopped the car at a red light. My fingers tapped lightly against the steering wheel. Calm. Steady. Controlled. Because anger. Anger is loud. Revenge. Revenge is quiet. I remembered the night I saw the final piece. The document that confirmed everything. A merger agreement. Signed but not finalized. Structured in a way that would shift liability onto me once executed. And the timing. Just weeks after the divorce would be finalized. Clean. Efficient. Ruthless. Exactly her style. Exactly his strategy. They really thought they had it all figured out. And honestly, I almost respected it. Almost. The light turned green. I drove forward. And for the first time in months, I felt something close to anticipation. Because now, it wasn't about what I lost. It was about what I knew. And what I knew changed everything. The day I signed those divorce papers was the same day everything fell into place. Legally, strategically, perfectly, because buried deep in those documents was a clause. One small clause. Easy to overlook. Easy to dismiss. But impossible to undo. A clause that separated me completely. From the company. From its liabilities. From its future. And more importantly, from their plan. I pulled into my new apartment complex. Smaller. Simpler. Temporary. But mine. I turned off the engine and leaned back in my seat, closing my eyes for just a second. And I saw it all again. Her smirk. Her confidence. Her certainty. She thought she won. She thought I gave up. She thought I walked away defeated. But she made one mistake. One fatal mistake. She underestimated me. I opened my eyes, stepped out of the car, and looked up at the building. A fresh start. A clean slate. Exactly what I needed. Because what comes next requires patience, precision, and perfect timing. Upstairs, Emily was probably celebrating. Maybe with Ryan. Maybe already planning their next move. Their future. Their victory. But they didn't know what I had. They didn't know what I was about to do. And they definitely didn't know that everything they built together was already starting to collapse. I walked into my apartment. Empty walls. Echoing silence. But no pain. Not anymore. Because pain fades. But purpose. Purpose sharpens. I placed my keys on the counter, pulled out my phone, and opened the file. Dozens of documents. Evidence. Proof. Leverage. Power. all neatly organized, all ready, all waiting. And at the top of it all, one name: Ryan Mitchell, the man who thought he could take my life and build his own with it. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I smiled, not out of anger, not out of bitterness, but because I knew something he didn't. Something neither of them did. This wasn't over. Not even close. Because they didn't just betray me. They exposed themselves. And now it was my turn. I locked the phone, looked out the window at the city lights flickering in the distance, and whispered quietly, "Your moves. Your moves." The words lingered in the silence of my apartment long after I said them. But the truth, it was never their move. It was always mine. 2 weeks later, the call came at exactly 9:12 a.m. Right on schedule. I stared at my phone as it vibrated against the kitchen counter. Unknown number. I didn't need to answer to know who it was. But I did anyway. "Hello." Silence. Then, "Daniel." "Ryan." His voice wasn't confident anymore. It wasn't smooth or controlled. It was tight, uneasy, like someone who had just realized the ground beneath him wasn't as stable as he thought. "Yeah," I said calmly. "What's going on?" Another pause. Longer this time. Then finally, "We need to talk." I almost smiled. "Of course we do." An hour later, I walked into the same office building I had left behind. Same glass doors. Same polished floors. But everything felt different. Because this time, I wasn't the one being cornered. Ryan was already there, standing near the conference table. Pacing. Restless. The moment he saw me, he froze. And just for a second, I saw it. Fear. Real, undeniable fear. "Daniel," he said quickly, forcing composure, "thanks for coming." I didn't respond. I just walked past him and took a seat. Slowly. Deliberately. Letting the silence stretch. Letting him feel it. Because silence makes people reveal things they don't want to say. "What's this about?" I asked finally, leaning back in my chair. He hesitated. Glanced toward the door. Like he expected someone else to walk in. "Emily." But she didn't. "Not yet." "She doesn't know I called you," he said. "Of course she doesn't." That alone told me everything I needed to know. "You should probably start talking then," I replied. His jaw tightened. And then he said it. "There's been an audit." I raised an eyebrow slightly. "An audit?" He nodded quickly. "Internal, then external. Something flagged, transactions, transfers, things we didn't think would get noticed," I finished for him. His eyes snapped to mine. And there it was again. That fear. Growing. Spreading. Good. "Daniel," his voice dropped. Did I what?" I interrupted calmly. "Did you report something?" I leaned forward slightly. "Just enough." "Ryan," I said quietly, "do I look like someone who needs to report anything?" Silence. Heavy. Crushing. Because he understood. In that moment, he understood everything. The door opened. Sharp. Sudden. And there she was. Emily. But not the Emily I remembered from that office weeks ago. No confidence. No smirk. No control. Her eyes moved between us quickly. Calculating. Searching. Trying to piece together a situation she didn't control. And failing. "What is going on?" she demanded. Her voice was still strong. But underneath it, cracks. Ryan looked at her. Then at me. And for the first time, he chose wrong. "He knows," he said. Just 2 words. And everything changed. Emily's gaze snapped to me. Sharp. Intense. Dangerous. What does he know? She asked slowly. I stood up, adjusted my jacket, took my time. Because timing. Timing is everything. Then I reached into my folder and placed it on the table. Gently, almost politely. Everything, I said. She didn't move at first. Didn't touch it. Didn't even blink. But Ryan stepped forward immediately. Opened it. Flipped through the pages. And with each second, his face drained further. Emails. Account trails. Contracts. Signatures. Every hidden move they thought was buried was now sitting in front of them. Exposed. Raw. Undeniable. This isn't, he started. It's accurate, I cut in. Calm. Controlled. Final. Emily finally stepped forward. Picked up the file. Her hands were steady. But her eyes, they were racing. Page after page. Detail after detail. Until finally, she stopped and looked up at me. Really looked. For the first time in a long time. She wasn't looking at someone beneath her. She was looking at someone she didn't understand anymore. What do you want? She asked. Straight to the point. Still strategic. Still thinking she could negotiate. Still thinking this was a game. I smiled slightly. Not because it was funny, but because it was predictable. You still think this is about what I want, I said. Her expression hardened. Don't play games, Daniel. I'm not, I replied. You did that already. Ryan ran a hand through his hair, pacing again. This could destroy us, he muttered. I looked at him. Cold. Steady. It will. Silence. Pure. Heavy. Unavoidable silence. Because now, there was no illusion left. No control. No advantage. Just truth. Emily set the file down slowly. And for the first time since I met her, she looked uncertain. Daniel, she said carefully, we can fix this. No. We can't. You already tried to fix it, I said, by removing me. Her jaw tightened. That's not what. It is, I cut in, and now you're out of moves. She stepped closer. Lowered her voice. You don't have to do this. There it was. Not an apology. Not regret. Just strategy. Even now. Even here. She was still trying to win. I leaned in slightly. Just enough for her to hear me clearly. You're right, I said quietly. Her eyes flickered. Hope. Just a spark. And then, I don't have to, I continued. I want to. That was the moment it broke. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But completely. Ryan sank into a chair. Defeated. Emily stepped back. Silent. And for once, neither of them had anything left to say. I closed the folder. Picked it up. And walked toward the door. Same as before. Same exit. But a completely different ending. Daniel. Her voice stopped me. Softer this time. Different. I turned slightly. Not fully. Just enough. Was any of it real? She asked. That question. Out of everything. That was the one that almost got me. Almost. I thought about it. The rooftop. The laughter. The life we built. The love I believed in. And then I gave her the only answer that mattered. For me, I said. A pause. Then. Yeah. I walked out. And this time, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel pain. I didn't feel loss. I felt something better. Something stronger. Closure. 3 months later, the company collapsed under investigation. Assets frozen. Contracts terminated. Names ruined. Careers over. Exactly as it should have been. And me. I started over. New city. New business. New life. Built the right way this time. With clarity. With control. With no illusions. Sometimes people ask me if I regret signing those papers. If I regret walking away. If I regret losing everything. And I always give them the same answer. I didn't lose everything. I lost what was never real to begin with. Because in the end, she didn't take my life. She revealed it. And that was the greatest mistake she ever made.